Stroke is a focal neurological deficit, which is of no other origin but cardiovascular in origin.
Depression is the leading cause of disability. Depression on its own is a persistent feeling of sadness, persistent feeling of hopelessness.
Hello viewers, welcome to this week's episode on Health Watch on Advent Cable Network Nigeria ACNN. I am Angela Nwenze. Nigeria has one of the highest birth rates in the world, with about 37.3 births for every 1,000 people, or an average of 6 children per woman. This means there are more than 7 million new Nigerians born every year. Nigeria's population is the highest on the African continent, and it is projected that by 2050, it will have a population of 397 million people. Despite this high birth rate, there is still an estimated 25% of couples who are still unable to conceive naturally, and for a long time they have suffered in silence. The culture of silence around infertility, together with ignorance and a negative perception for assisted reproductive technologies, ARTs, leave many couples vulnerable to quack treatments or seeking spiritual solutions from spiritual houses or native medicine men. It is not uncommon to hear of couples being asked to perform expensive and elaborate sacrifices in shrines, or asked to spend weeks sleeping in spiritual houses, purging imaginary spirits in the hope of conceiving. On the program today, we shall be discussing one of the assisted reproductive technology, ART, called in vitro fertilization, popularly known as IVF. It is surprising that many couples still have difficulty accepting this technology for several reasons that we shall be discussing on the program today. To give us some exposition on this topic, I have Dr. Nathaniel Adewale on the program. He's a consultant gynecologist with the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital here in Nigeria. It's good to have you back on the program.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back, and thank you. Again. Yeah, and thank you for joining us. So IVF, everybody calls it. Some people don't even know what IVF is. Even what you just hear IVF. She went for IVF. She had her children through IVF. So what is IVF? You know, with the acronym, and what's this IVF technology that we are, many people have enjoyed and have seen, good product out of it?
IVF is in vitro fertilization.
Okay, in vitro
fertilization, and it's a artificial reproductive technique whereby when a couple has challenges in conceiving naturally, technology can be used to ensure that the joy of motherhood comes to that home.
Okay.
It is something that has developed over the years, started around the late 70s. And it has brought joy to millions of homes worldwide. A woman may have challenge of conceiving due to a lot of reasons. For example, when you have infertility, if a couple has been trying to conceive, after a year, we call it infertility. It could be investigated. There are a lot of causes like tubal factor infertility. It could be to things like ovulation problem, endometriosis, adenomyosis. All those issues, when it occurs, and every effort naturally has been tried, and it's not yielding any fruits, then one can go ahead to do assisted reproductive technique.
And in all the cases, it has to be when the issue of infertility is from the woman, or can it be when the man is also having problem, and then you can also go for IVF?
One thing is sure, one thing we should never forget, and that is a mistake that people make. When it comes to infertility, there is concept, especially in our own environment, that is the problem of the woman. That's not true. It's actually, after research, most of the time it's 50-50. Male factor
contributes equally,
almost equally.
Okay.
So I don't know where people get this concept that once there is problem of not being able to conceive, they start blaming the woman, the in-laws, everybody start harassing the woman. Most, they will not bother to ask whether the man is the one that is the cause.
And sometimes the men even know that they're responsible.
What is funny is that the man will know, the woman will know. The family of the man will still be harassing the woman. And the woman will still adhere to the culture of silence, still take the insult in order to preserve the family life. And that's the funniest thing. That's another thing about women that still, even when the trauma, you know, this psychological trauma could be very serious. The man that even knew may even join the family to harass the woman. That's the wife. So we should get it, first of all, that it could be any from the woman and the man.
Okay.
And when it comes to assisted reproductive therapy, whatever the cause, it's not the issue. There is always a way out. Right now, when I see people arguing, worried, and going through psychological trauma, either the man, the woman, or the couple as a whole, the technology has helped that it's difficult to say any woman can be infertile now. There is always a way out. There is always a way out.
Okay, so what I was asking then was, you know, when we're listing out some of the things that could make the doctor start to tell, okay, let's consider in vitro fertilization.
Yes.
You know, if a man has an issue with, maybe he has a low sperm count, or he doesn't have a good morphology for his spermatozoa, will that also be considered? Will they say, okay, the option is let's go for in vitro fertilization?
Well, thank you for talking about. When it comes to the man, it could be either due to one, the number.
Okay.
For example, we know if a woman has less than 15 million per male.
Okay.
We call it low sperm count.
All right.
Oligospermia.
And this must be checked. This can be checked in the hospital. Checked.
Then the second parameter, like you mentioned, is when there is most of the sperms are abnormal. Okay. That can lead to infertility. So the fact that the sperm is normal in count is not the only problem. It could be the morphology. Another in terms of motility.
Motility will be how fast?
In terms of movement. Yes, type of movement, either fast, sluggish. So if the sperm count is adequate, but most of them are not motile. They won't be able to swim to get to the tubes, the ovary for fertilization. So it could be either due to the count, the morphology, or the movement.
Okay.
So any of those, the problem could be addressed. Also, when it comes to the woman, as I've said earlier, it could be due to the problem of the tubal factor if the tubes are blocked. Okay. If there is problem with ovulation, the ovary. If there is problem, there could be problem with the uterus, uterine factor. And above all, there are a lot of infertility that you investigate the man, you investigate the woman, all of them are normal, but nobody can just explain. They're not just conceiving. IVF is a way out too. Okay. Then what are the other indications for IVF? Somebody that is about to undergo cancer chemotherapy while the person has not given birth. IVF is an option by preservation of the eggs. Then later on, IVF could be resorted to.
Okay, I don't understand. So somebody who wants to go for cancer treatment, can ask for harvesting of eggs.
Yes. You know, most of the radiotherapy damages the ovary.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, prior to the treatment, the eggs could be harvested, preserved, and later after the treatment, when she's ready to conceive, that could be used for the IVF. So that's another. Okay, so
IVF now is not just, when you can't conceive. There are so many other things you can do with the IVF. You can do with IVF.
Yes.
All right. So I see. Okay. So we'll talk about that harvesting of eggs because I want us to talk about it at some point. But the IVF technology now. Okay. I want to have an understanding of how it works.
Okay.
So what is because sometimes you see them in the hospital, in the lab, with some complex machine, and they're doing something here and there. Even there was a time people were calling the kids test tube babies, and it was a stigma. Yes. Thank God I think it's gone off now. I don't know if people still say that.
No, it's not common again.
But it's not common again. You have come to accept to an extent, yes.
To a large extent.
Yeah, so what happens in the process of in vitro fertilization?
When it comes to in vitro fertilization, the commonest one is when a woman, at the fertile reproductive age group, still fertile, will be stimulated. They will have, first of all, the woman will have been investigated, including the hormone, the ovarian reserve, to make sure that if they stimulate this woman, she'll be able to produce egg. The man will have been investigated. Because if you are going to do IVF, there are two types, conventional IVF and ICSI. The sperm level will determine whether they are going to do conventional one or ICSI. Conventional one is that if the sperm is either adequate or even if it's low but not too low, they can do conventional. But if the sperm is so low or absent, then what we call ICSI, IVF ICSI will be done, intracytoplasmic sperm injection, in which single sperm will be used to inject. Now let's go to what is the product of conventional IVF. Let's start with that one.
Of course, yes.
The woman will be, after counseling, basic investigation, like I've said, hormonal test, hormonal reserve, the sperm is adequate for conversion. The woman will be stimulated, what we call hyperstimulation.
Okay.
Either with injections. When the woman is stimulated, it will be monitored. The ovary will be monitored. There will be production. Usually in this normal cycle of a woman that is not stimulated, on the average, there is usually one egg that is produced per cycle. But in this case that you are stimulating, you can harvest so many eggs.
All right, okay.
Then when the eggs are harvested, by the time the egg will be harvested, the man will have been notified to produce the sperm.
Okay.
Then in the lab, the sperm will be mixed with the egg. Of course, there will be fertilization of quite a number of the eggs. When it has fertilized and become an ovum, it will be allowed to grow in the lab for about 3 to 5 days. And then after the harvesting of the egg, what will have, once the endometrium is ready, should be ready by then, the fertilized ovum will now be transferred to the woman. It's a simple procedure that does not require any sleeping, or it's not so painful, just anxiolytic, and that's all. The woman will rest in the hospital for a few hours and they go home.
All right, okay.
So that's the basic process of in vitro fertilization. Usually after that, what the woman can be given hormones to support for some time. Then after about 2 weeks, we come back for pregnancy test.
Okay.
And by the time the pregnancy test is possible, in 3 weeks from the time of transfer, do scan.
So that is all that is involved in. It's still the natural process. It's just that you're monitoring it outside of the natural environment.
At one point.
Then it's implanted back into the woman.
Yes.
And the body takes over the process itself.
Yes.
Okay. Because it's making it easier now, because sometimes you think it's something like you pull from here, do this, and so it's just the same people with the same gametes, the same female ovum, the sperm from the husband, the same couple, and you fertilize it outside the womb, and transfer it into,
and allow the natural process to continue.
So when you transfer it back into the woman, the body gets the message that a baby is here and starts the normal process?
Yes, because once the fertilized ovum got implanted, it will be attached, the normal process of pregnancy will start occurring. Remember that if the same ovum is fertilized in the ovary, it will be transported back. I take about 2 days.
Yes.
Because before it comes to be implanted and start getting attached to the endometrium, starting penetrating the endometrium into the muscle, with slowly placenta forming.
Because naturally, even when for a woman, naturally, when you release the egg, the body is preparing to have a child naturally. Until it doesn't get fertilized, then you have the waste that becomes the menstrual. Oh, now that makes a lot of sense. That's the conventional. Is it
the conventional
IVF? Okay.
Now the other one is, what if a man has a very low sperm count?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Or it's not mobile, or even when the man, when they did the test, there's no single sperm.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And when there is no single sperm, there are other ways they could get sperm. And that is by aspiration of the testes, because some are producing sperm, but it's not being transported back.
Okay.
So by aspiration of the testes, they can identify, get some sperm, even if it's 5, and then technologically taking it one by one to fertilize one sperm to fertilize one egg. The same thing with the sperm are so few. That one may not need aspiration. We just identify from the few sperm, take, and it's set.
Okay.
So that's what we call IVF ICSI.
So that is in the case where the most of the case when the sperm
either is extremely too low,
okay,
or there is no sperm which they have to aspirate. That's for the man.
Okay. Now,
then what of the other issue that can occur? What if the woman, when they did the ovarian reserve and stimulation did not produce adequate eggs? Are there other ways they can do it? The answer is yes. And that is why we have IVF plus donor egg, with donor egg.
Okay.
You know, as a woman ages, by 40 and above, the ovarian reserve is low. So the woman may not be able to produce adequate eggs for fertilization. Also, it has been discovered that 40 and above, the success rate using the woman's egg is much lower than at a younger age. And this, what do we take from this? When couples have challenge of infertility, something that they need to address early. There is no point in trying to wait till so much later, because if they wait till later, they may not be able to use the woman's egg. The woman may not be able to produce
enough egg.
Yes. So we could also have IVF with donor eggs. Either one, when the woman, even though at a reproductive age group, but could not produce enough eggs. Or if the woman is already advanced in age, like 43 and above, or even a woman that has reached menopause. Nowadays, there's no age limit to conception now. Even at the age of 60, we have had 60 something delivering. What needs to be done is to get either a relative's eggs, somebody they know, or somebody they don't know, just like blood donor. There are egg donor. After being fully screened, then those eggs will now be, either they can use the husband's sperm to fertilize the donor egg and pass through the normal process.
Okay, we're going to go on a break now.
Okay.
And then we return, we'll talk a little bit on this donor, egg, and then we'll continue our discussion from there. So we'll be right back, viewers. On this show, we focus on the journey from girlhood to womanhood and everything in between.
So you hear such comments like it's not ladylike, because there is a way a lady should behave.
Please don't ask a man out. I beg you. We are so cultured that the day you do.
It is in that place of fellowship that you get to discover all these things.
You discover yourself?
Yes.
Biology-wise, women are able to progress faster into addiction than the men.
Don't crucify the woman for wanting financial security.
Remember, every woman is worthy by design. Welcome back, viewers. Before we went on the break, we were still discussing in vitro fertilization, popularly known as IVF, and my guest is still Dr. Nathaniel Adewale. He's a consultant gynecologist with the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
I think I'm learning a lot now. So we're talking about the donor egg. So when a woman, her egg, the older she gets, when she's getting older, she might not be able to produce what you call quality egg, or
yes,
quality eggs that can be used, then she can now get a donor egg from somebody in the family. So okay, just as we were saying.
Well, let me add to it. Just like you can have donor egg, we can also have donor sperm. But let me talk about let's conclude the discussion about the donor eggs first.
Okay.
Now, this donor eggs is necessary. One, somebody may even be young and yet not producing adequate eggs.
Yeah.
What we call premature ovarian failure. Or those people, as we have mentioned, over 40 may not produce viable eggs. Or people that are even reach menopause. Those people too. So in this case, it's either a younger member of the family or somebody they know who will have been screened for every form of, for other things that needed to be screened for. Then after that, that person will be stimulated, producing the egg harvested. Then the husband's sperm will be used to fertilize, and then it will be transferred.
Okay, that's for the donor egg.
Yes.
Okay, then you talked about donor sperm as well.
Donor sperm is about, if number one, the man does not have any sperm, and even after aspiration, they could not get sperm, even after trying to aspirate what we call testicular aspiration, or any form of aspiration. Then you can use donor sperm. It can not be the woman's eggs, and then the
donor sperm.
The donor sperm. Of course, the person that they collect the sperm for will have been screened, and the couple may not know the person, but will have been properly screened. That's about the donor sperm.
So when the baby comes, is the baby genetically from the parent, or wouldn't it be genetically from another parent? Or I don't know.
One thing we have to get clear is that when it comes to parenthood, it's not the person that gives birth to a child that owns the child.
Okay.
It's the person that show love and take care. There is biological and there is genetical father, and there is a biological father, and there is legal fathers.
Okay. Because just like adoption, people adopt kids.
That's another way out. Now, we should get it clear. The baby is still theirs.
Okay.
Legally and otherwise.
Okay.
Even biblically, when you look at it, when a man, remember that if anyone that you take care of your brother's wife, that's a form of which we are going to come a form of surrogacy. We are going to come about to say you give the brother will impregnate the wife to give names to the. We are going to talk about surrogacy later. So it's still allowed even biblically.
Okay.
So we should get it clear. They are the biological father, they are the father of the baby. Genetically, yes, but they own the baby.
Okay, but there are still people that are over 40 who conceive naturally. It's not cast in stone that once you're over 40 you can't have children naturally. Because sometimes you see people celebrate, oh, I had my child at 50, and they're wondering, and everybody just goes, oh, this must be IVF. But I'm feeling sometimes it might not be, is it?
No, let's be very
realistic.
The chances are low once they're about 45.
Okay.
And for anybody that wants to go for IVF, once they're about 40, 42, especially and above, the quality of eggs, if it is used about 42 and above, the success rate is much lower.
Okay.
And this is something that is costly, the psychological implication of failed.
Yeah.
So once it's you don't want to take too much chances.
Okay. So there was a recent, I think there was something going on in the United States sometime where people that were working for a particular giant company, the women were asked, they were in their 20s, they were in their late 20s, and they were advising them to harvest their eggs and store it so that by the time they are done working, because they don't want the distraction of children, by the time they are done working, they can then, put these eggs back in them, they can get fertilized, and they can have their children. They will do the IVF, get the egg fertilized, so they still maintain the quality of egg. Is that an option you can give a lady who, these days, our mindsets have really changed on a lot of things. People stay till age 40 before they get married. is that something you can advise?
Even if you look, this issue of egg preservation, medically is advisable. We started with one scenario, a woman that wants to undergo cancer treatment.
Okay, yes,
we
yes, of course, you can harvest the egg.
It's an option for them. They can harvest, preserve the egg. Also, we should remember, along this IVF, even when you have women that are young, when you do an IVF cycle, I hope you know we can also preserve the remaining embryo.
Oh, really?
Yes. The same that can preserve that egg can also preserve fertilized egg, that's embryos.
Okay.
And be kept for later, so that when, for example, after this cycle now, you have 8 embryos.
Okay.
Usually we are careful of multiple transferring too many because of the risk of multiple gestation. For example, if you transfer about 4 and they are about quintuplate, the risk of miscarriage.
I was even going to ask that, because one thing we're hearing is when you go for IVF, you're most likely to have twins or triplets or quadruplets and all that.
But those won't carry a high risk, both the survival of the fetuses and also risk to the mother. So it's not usually advisable to transfer so many.
Okay.
So a lot of times, if there are excess, there are facilities to preserve the fertilized embryo. So that this, after one cycle, the next, after maybe 2 years, the same one go back. They will just prepare the endometrium. The fertilized embryo will now be reactivated.
Okay, so I like what you said in the beginning, that no woman needs to cry again with having
No woman needs
children.
to cry. And assuming even the woman that will not be able to carry the baby, maybe for one reason or the other, the uterus has been removed. Or let's say the woman that is undergoing that cancer treatment, uterus removed, after she has preserved her eggs. The next is surrogate motherhood.
Yes, okay. Now let's explain that surrogacy.
Whereby there will be a volunteer that within the family or outside, our eggs will be used, the husband's sperm will be used, it will be transferred to the woman and to the surrogate, the other person. That's the surrogate mother. And then after delivery, the child will be given birth to the owner. There are mothers that have done it for their children.
Oh.
Yes, there are mothers that have done it for their children. Though they are already in the menopausal age, remember that
have a stronger, they can still carry.
Yes, a woman at 60, IVF has been done for people at 66, 67. So there is no limit. No woman needs to cry and say there is no hope. Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Those days are gone.
So, okay, let's talk about one area that everybody talks about, and is how expensive it is. It is really, compared to the cost of just having your own child. But hey, sometimes you can have complications that can even cost you that amount of money for the idea. But it's so expensive, and it's not an option for everybody. You have to be able to afford it, to spend that amount of money. I know on average it's like 700, 500.
You know what I used to ask people? Most people eventually, even at the lower level, are able to build a house.
Yeah.
What is the cost of a house?
Nothing close to the cost of IVF.
What is the cost of a house?
Yeah.
Even at the low income, once you put your mind to it and start, eventually we agreed because it's coming down gradually.
The price, yes.
More needs to be done in order to make it affordable to the less privileged.
Okay.
But most people that are complaining is also lack of priority.
Okay.
You will see some people that are riding a car and they say, no, I can't afford IVF. And I'll tell them that, how much does a car cost?
Compared to the joy
of having a baby. So I agree with you. Much need to be done in order to bring the cost down. People need to be supported. And there are also options. Some of the IVF facilities actually have programs that support the less privileged.
Okay.
For example, I know some of them that do something like egg sharing. A young lady who could not afford it, you have somebody that is okay financially, who could afford it but needed eggs. They need the egg donor. There could be pairing.
Okay.
The one that is less privileged, that does not have the money and is young, can go into egg sharing program with a woman who need egg donor, who need eggs.
Yeah. Oh.
The cost of the treatment usually will be borne by the
other person. Okay.
So there are programs to also circumvent this. And a lot of them also now they do have time, they do what they call promo in order to bring down the cost to make it more affordable
for women.
But on a general note, I believe a man can afford gradually to build a house. You can afford, you should be able to gradually over time be able to save money to be able to do an IVF too.
Okay.
But the society at large need to have a program to be able to also support the less privileged.
The less privileged. Do they have IVF facilities in the general hospitals? Because I think it's more of the private hospitals that advertise it more.
In Nigeria now, a lot of tertiary institutions have it. For example, in Abuja, National Hospital has it.
Okay.
Federal Medical Center, Jabi has it. The Gariki Hospital, which is in private partnership, also have it.
Okay.
And a lot of teaching hospitals now and the federal medical centers across Nigeria are also doing it. So it's generally more available now, even in government setups.
It's a setup, so it's not just for private hospitals.
For private
hospitals also.
Another thing that we have to talk about IVF, benefits of IVF, is what we call pre-implantation genetic diagnosis.
Okay, we're going to go on. We'll talk about that once we come back on the break.
All right.
This discussion is so interesting that it keeps going. I don't realize that my break time is getting on. So we'll be right back, viewers, and we'll continue this discussion. Why do we fall ill? Is it possible to stay without falling ill? Is God interested in our health? Can we get access to cheaper health anywhere? Do you want tips on how to stay healthy? Health Watch, a program to educate you viewers on how to take care of your bodies and deal with different health-related issues. Welcome back, viewers. Before we went on the break, we were still discussing in vitro fertilization, and Dr. Nathaniel has been wonderful in explaining this idea. Thank you so much. I'm learning so much about in vitro fertilization. You know, we just say it's IVF. They had a child with IVF. And nobody really knows, that it's just not just having children. It's a whole lot, And I'm so grateful that we're learning that. So before we went on the break, you talked about PGD.
Yes, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis.
Okay.
There are genetic diseases that are passed on from generation to generation.
Okay.
Actually, this can be overcome through IVF plus PGD. For example, in Africa, we have a lot of sickle cell diseases. In abroad, they have something like what they call cystic fibrosis and a lot of other diseases that are deadly. Pre-implantation genetic diagnosis means after the IVF, instead of early transferring between that day 3 to day 5, when it gets to morula stage, that's about 6 to 10 egg stage, one or two of the eggs will be removed and then analyzed to see which one does not carry the abnormal chromosome, abnormal genetic disorder. For example, if it is sickle cell disease, that stage, PGD, true PGD, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis or pre-implantation genetic screening, it will be screened which of those fertilized ovum is free. It's not SS, which one is free of cystic fibrosis. Those one will be eliminated. Then the one that are free will now be implanted. So it's also a way of overcoming genetic diseases.
Is this very common? Is this common, or
it's available?
People don't really know. Okay, it's available, but not many people know.
No, and the cost.
The cost implication.
But it's available in Nigeria.
Okay.
So if there are people that are already married and about sickle cell disease, they could approach the appropriate centers.
Okay.
And they can conceive through the IVF plus PGD. And then the fear of giving birth to sickle will be overcome.
So can we approach any doctor? Because I know there are few. I'm very certain there's somebody watching now and hearing this and like, oh, this is my miracle for today. Can they go to any teaching hospital?
I won't say any doctor.
Any teaching hospital?
Even not all most of the is very high tech.
Very high tech, okay.
Only few IVF centers will do it in Nigeria.
Okay.
But by right consultation, they will be able to get, even in Abuja, 1 or 2.
Okay.
That does it.
Just in case anybody calls me now, contact you and they'll meet you and then you sort out. So
I can give them, I can counsel them on where to go and everything.
Okay, please, if you're watching right now on the program and maybe you've just heard something that you think will give you a solution, please contact the program and we'll see how to link you over with Dr. Nathaniel, and I'm sure he will help you out.
To be a pleasure.
That to be a pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm happy to get that. Okay, now, so which means he can actually help with other, you've given sickle cell as one and everything.
Yes, that's something that is affecting us. So it's a way of also, of limiting all these genetic disorders.
Okay.
So it's something that is available, it's something that is practical, and it's something that is doable. Yes.
That is so good to know. Then now there's another part when people say, oh, they tried it IVF 2-3 times before they finally got it. Of course, yes, it is man trying to do what happens naturally. I mean, hey, even people get miscarriages when they get pregnant, So why? It's technology, everybody's monitoring what is going on. People get some failure.
And that is where God is still God.
Of course.
Even in the best of center, it's never 100%.
Yeah.
It's never 100%. But at the same time, one has to tell people, look, the person that has failed is the person that has failed to try. And this is not something about 30% chance. This is not something about 40%, something about 50 and above, and 50% and above. And there are people that will try it once, they will get not only one, twins, triplets. So what do you think of the few that fail? Why not consider those that succeeded?
So when you're going in for that, don't think about failure. Just go ahead and do what needs to be done.
And I used to counsel people when you are going in. Even your aim is, if you fail, prepare yourself psychologically. I will try again. I know I will succeed.
Yeah.
So we agree there is limitation. It's a technology. There's nothing that is 100%.
Yeah. So even the natural process. Sometimes children, when you even conceive naturally, children.
Even naturally, if you try, the chance of conceiving within a cycle, a monthly cycle, is 25%.
It's still low. Well,
and by the time you try for 60 months, if 100,000 women or couple try for 6 months, it's only about 60,000 that will have conceived in 6 months. So even the natural process has its own,
challenges. Yeah.
Challenges. Yes. So we should bear with it, and we should think of the numbers, the joy it has brought to millions of homes. The psychological trauma it has healed.
Yeah. The joy it has brought to millions.
Yes.
So it's worth trying. It's not something we should turn away
It's something that people should boldly
go at,
And it has become something so that there is no side effect, like we say, so spectacular. There is, for example, the baby, there is no difference between the normal and the abnormal.
That's what I was going to ask.
The risk of abnormality is comparable. So there is nothing to fear about.
So the child is healthy?
The
mother is healthy as well? There is no...
The only thing is, one of the things I've decided which we are also conscious about, is the fact that the woman may have something what you call ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome.
Okay.
Whereby, during stimulation, the ovary could overreact, overproduce, can cause bloating of the abdomen and others. But with the modern technology, that risk is even lower now, much lower now, because the stimulation is now better controlled. And when there are signs, there is signs of ovarian hyperstimulation, there are steps to be taken. For example, the woman that has early sign of ovarian hyperstimulation may not be tried, the transfer of embryo may not be done immediately in order not to aggravate the issue, because if there are signs of ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome and the transfer of embryo is done, it can aggravate the situation. So steps have been taken. Nowadays, we just do it like a normal, you know, not that it take you too much off your work, off your schedule.
Okay. So technology has advanced. It's not. Yes. I know the early days was a bit, you know, people were trying to understand what it was. But now, so the baby is healthy. The mother is healthy. Whatever comes up, the doctors can handle. In fact, most of the time, once they did the pregnancy test in the IVF center, most of the centers, and did the first scan, they send the baby and you just continue your normal
antenatal in any of the hospital with your doctor. So it's not something
we should thank God for such technology. Okay, don't it? You know, this is the thing. You take egg here, you put it here. You take the sperm here, you put it here. You mix it here, you put it here. All those things. What do you say to people that are thinking you are playing God? You know, there's some people that will be looking and saying, these people are, you know, playing God. They're trying to be God. We can never be God. But, you know, there are people that are there still. That is their own mentality and it's still drawing them back.
You know, when I heard such is, I used to ask them one thing. Maybe they should be trekking like our father used to trek. Someone should trek from here to maybe Ghana now. When there is motor car, when there is aeroplane. And this technology is God that gave the wisdom. In the initial part, that shout about where people are playing God was so high, but I think it's minimal now. We should remember that during the time of aeroplane was conceived by Wright brother in the early, towards the end of the early 19th century. Yes. Everybody almost condemned them, the church condemned them, but eventually everybody uses the aeroplane now. It's God that gave the wisdom. It's God that promised, that gave the intellect. In fact, a lot of these people receive it under inspiration of prayer. Yes. And there is nobody. Yes. Nobody, if you look, we realize the limitation of science. And that is why most of them, we still pray, God, let it succeed. It's God that gave. And also, even after you have transferred, nobody can predict, no technology can complain that this one that have transferred will stay or will mature to a baby.
It's still God that stepping in to ensure that it's completed. Yes, and it doesn't change. Whatever God planned for that child still becomes.
So we should have the right mindset. I think though that issue has been, most people have overcome that prejudice now.
But you'll be surprised, some people in the rural areas who...
Not only in the rural areas, even I see one or two of them that no, I will never. And I want to cancel our people. This issue of I will never, it caused so much delay. Yeah. For example, I've seen a woman at around about 10 years ago. She was just around 32 to 33 then. We canceled her. She was married for 4 years, and there were clear-cut indication that to conceive naturally, the chances are very low. So we counsel her to go for IVF. She has the finance, but this is real. I will not. It's not my portion. She waited. By the time she was 40, she had fibroid that had to be operated. By the time she wanted it now, we are cancelling her on donor egg. Now, what the funniest thing another, we are cancelling her donor egg. She didn't want to exercise. It's not good longer to go to be my own child. Yes, but that's not. So people should take advice early and take adequate step early. They should realize that it's God that gave the wisdom. And the people that are doing it also depend on God for it to succeed.
Exactly, and even the process is still God's process. Yes. It's not man-made process. It's still the natural process God has already put in place.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for coming on the program. So I think I have been so enlightened on this, especially the one that, for genetic diseases, this can be a solution to it. So it's something people can consider. IVF is not a bad thing. It's an excellent
and it's a groundbreaking
technology that we should take advantage of. It's not for only unbelievers, it's for Christians. Christians can take advantage of IVF.
The trauma that infertility brings to the home,
it's not a good one.
It's a terrible experience. Terrible experience both for the man and the woman, especially for the woman.
Wow.
And this thing needs to be embraced.
Needs to be embraced. Thank you very much for coming on the program. I've learned so much
you.
today. And I believe my viewers have learned so much today. Dr. Nathaniel Adewale has been speaking to us for the last couple of minutes. He's a consultant gynecologist with the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital. Thank you for joining us on the program, and I believe you have learned so much. And you can contact us. Contact us if you need help. We can link you up with Dr. Nathaniel, and you can meet up with him and find solution. You don't have to stay again and cry. There is solution and there is help out there for you. Thank you for joining us on the program. I'll see you next week. I am Angela Mweze.